Gods in motion.
How's it going, Exiles? Today I want to talk about trade and the potential for more efficient trade, things like an auction house. Now, before we do that, before we talk about POE, let's take a trip. Let's take a trip back in memory lane to D3. D3 at launch, as a lot of you guys know, had an auction house, and a lot of people say it was the main reason why the game sucked, ruined the game, blah, 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 all this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why D3 didn't do or did do whatever it did. It wasn't just the auction house. But for people that did play at launch, for me especially, I remember it extremely well. It felt like when you were playing, you couldn't find any of your own items. It felt like you were always buying or you were selling. Buying and selling, buying and selling. And you spent so much time searching weapons, searching helmets, searching chest pieces, searching, all the things, every piece of gear. You never bought it. And, I mean, you never found it. And it was so frustrating because I think most of us most of us get really excited when we find a piece of gear. Now, when we buy a piece of gear, it's quite frustrating when you can't find any gear, and that's what it was like. And, Blizzard and whatever, they had this whole thing. Basically what they said, what they attributed it to was, they said, well, you're buying these items, and you're putting yourself ahead of this sort of item curve. As you find items, it gets harder as you get items, it gets harder to find them. As you get upgrades, it gets harder to find upgrades. And people are buying themselves ahead of this curve, so it's getting harder and harder to find items. But the whole thing is just mind-blowing. Like, oh, you bought items, that's why you don't find them. You bought good gear so easily, and that's why you're not finding any good gear for your character. Which doesn't really make sense, because if someone else found it, then that's the problem. There's a couple things that go into this. I was thinking about it with PoE, and it does apply to PoE. In Diablo, there was the Marauder, the Barbarian, there is the Demon Hunter, the Dexterity, Intelligence, and Strength class, basically. There wasn't Crusader yet, so it's just the Strength of the Barbarian. And basically, you might find a Strength piece if you're playing a Barbarian. Let's say you are playing a Barbarian. You don't find a Strength piece, you find an Intelligence piece. You're going to sell it, and then you're going to buy a Strength piece. Or you're going to find a Dexterity piece, and you're going to sell it, and you're going to buy a Strength piece. And this happens a lot, because what are the chances that you're going to find your piece versus someone else's piece when there's more of someone else's piece, because you're only playing one thing? And interestingly enough, this can happen in PoE more. This can happen more in PoE. People don't think about it, because the gear was more simple in Diablo, and it was a problem, but that's why everyone was able to do it. People found gear with stat, vitality, crit, blah, 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 because crit was so stupid and crit damage scaled way too much. Then they put it up. Who would have thought that's going to sell? In PoE, you can have CI characters, you can have armor characters, evasion characters, life and bow, caster, melee, whatever, summoner, all this stuff. So let's say I'm playing a bow character, and then I find a ES, summoner, whatever, or let's say I only know half of the items, like half of the build types in the game. Like, I might find a perfect cast on crit wand, I might just vendor it, because I don't know. But let's say I only know half. Let's say I only can recognize about half of items that are good. What are the chances that I'm going to find an item that is good for bow users? And what are the chances that I'm going to find an item that's good for half of other builds? Yeah, you can argue, like, oh, but you're only going to ID characters for bow users. But hey, if you're going to ID jewelry and tier 1s and tier 2s, I think you should. You're going to find good items, and then you're going to sell them. And this creates the problem. This is the problem. In ARPGs, you are more likely to find gear for someone else's build than your own. It mathematically, it makes sense. It just makes sense. And people seem to want more efficient trade, more efficient trade. It doesn't work for ARPGs, and it shouldn't work. We don't need more efficient trade. This whole thing is coming about because people message someone or they try to trade with someone on Poe.trade, and it's offline or AFK, and I'm like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I can't get this trade. And I have a hard time with these complaints about Poe.trade because Poe.trade isn't even GGG's system, and trade is such a hot topic right now, and they're making improvements that synergize with Poe.trade. It's not even it's not their game mechanic, it's not their feature, and it's kind of like letting a third party putting their game in a direction. I almost wish Poe.trade wasn't there so we could see what would happen, because it's made trade so efficient. And like I've already made sense of, you're gonna find gear for other people, and other people are gonna find gear for you. You're less likely to find gear for yourself. So then what happens if trade is super efficient? If you have an auction house, you put it up, it's gonna be more efficient to camp the auction house, to flip items or something stupid, look for good deals to get upgrades. And that's not fun. You shouldn't be trading, you should be playing. The problem with efficient trade, efficient trade doesn't make sense in ARPGs. It's an ARPG, it's not an MMORPG. It's Path of Exile. You're exiled. You shouldn't be trading and able to communicate with everyone. It doesn't make sense. It's not Path of I'm connected to everyone and everyone gets all involved. You know what I mean? Like, some people, you shouldn't talk to everyone. In PoE, right now, someone just found a piece of gear that is amazing for your build, that is so good for your character, and you're never going to get it, you're never going to see it. They might just vendor it, or they might just sell it for a chaos to someone else, and it might be maybe with an Exalt, and you might have bought it for an Exalt, but you're not going to get it. That's because ARPGs aren't based on the idea that everyone has a shared inventory, and they shouldn't be. It's not an MMO. It's not an MMO. Even if you look, even if you observe, you can see this effect in party races versus solo races. In party races, they're like, does anyone have this? Do you have this potion? Do you have this item? Does anyone have this bow? I'm a bow user. Does you have this? And they're always trading, and they're switching items around, and you notice like their gearing is always really efficient. Like some of the best racers, they're always doing this. You can see the effect right there. Versus solo play, they don't have any other drops. They don't have access to other things. It's just their own. So, and you notice in these party races that people do very well, you know? And of course there's also like they go fast through portals, but still their gear, they are able to keep their gear going pretty fast as long as they're on top of things. So if we have an auction house in PoE, it basically puts everyone in this party race. It puts everyone in this super efficient gear exchanging pot. If you found a minion piece, you're selling it to someone who's using minions. If you found a bow piece, you're selling it to someone who has bows. This can't work. This will not work. The most efficient way to get items will be through trade. Right now, with Poe.trade, I think it is too efficient. I think trade is too efficient. And some people may criticize that, some people may disagree with that. But I find so many good items. I find so many, you know, the other build items. Like I found like a really good ES evasion chest. I don't have an ES evasion character. I just slap it in my stash, and I tell myself, I'm like, oh, I'm going to play that, or I'll sell it. I'm going to play that, I'll sell it, and I hoard gear. I bought all these stash tabs, and, I mean, support GGG, but also I just hoard gear, because I tell myself, like, oh, I'll use it one day. I never use it, but I also don't sell it. Why don't I sell it? You know, it's free currency. It's just, you know, why not? It's because I don't want to. I don't want to spend my time, my hobbies, playing video games. It's not selling, it's not trading, it's not, like, trying to be some sort of economic stock trading whiz. I don't necessarily care about that. I want to play game. I want to kill monsters. I want to find treasure. You know, it's stupid stuff like that. And I guarantee you, if I started selling all the stuff I keep in my stash, just little things, if I just like threw it all up, and some of it's really good, some of it's not so good, but you know, I just hoard it. If I started selling it, 3 chaos, 1 chaos, whatever, I'd be so much more wealthy. If you find some jewels that are so good, like so niche, so perfect, and I just sit on them. And I could sell it probably for an Exalt, but I don't, just because it's weird. Like it doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't make me feel good. It's not what I want to do with my time playing the game. So I just keep it. You know, maybe I'll use it for a character later. And I don't know, people kind of bag on GGG. They're like, oh, you know, you have to do trade through a third-party website. It's not their program. It's not their feature. It's not their idea. So why should they get ridiculed for that? And in the current system, you know, people complain about being offline, being online, whatever, this, that, AFKers, you know, such frustration, such frustration. And it's almost like they're entitled to these really fast, efficient trades, even though it may not be part of the thematic, it may not be part of the immersion of PoE that they're trying to create. And this website has sort of thrown them into this. I was watching the What's Up Raycast about trade, and they talk about the barding system, and they said, and Ziggy said, the barding system doesn't work for the future, and that's sort of implying that the future is this super efficient trade archetype type. Everyone's just exchanging, like, we need this quick efficiency. It's not a matter of quality of life. It's a feature. Efficient trade is a feature. It's a game design choice. It's not quality of life, like health bars, or even that. No, that's a game design too. Like having the clock in the bottom left, that's a quality of life. But this, having efficient trades, isn't. Right now, with trade, there may be people who want to engage with it, and they don't, because it's a third party. And acquisition and Poe.trade, all this stuff, yeah, no, it's not friendly at all. Like, when I first got it, I was like, this looks a little weird, you know, it seems a little sketchy. It's not very noob-friendly. Trading itself with the program, it is actually extremely self-explanatory. It's pretty easy, besides all the stuff with having to show up as online or whatever. But So like right now, you have a large amount of people who probably do want to trade, but instead they're just spamming trade chat, which is a whole nother mess. But it's very problematic, because right now I think trade is too efficient, and it's too efficient, and it's also exclusive. It's exclusive to elite people who want to get involved in this super efficient trading, who are willing to download the third-party websites for the sake of their betterment, for their economy, like for their items, for their currency pool, all this nonsense. But a lot of noobs, new players not going to engage in that. Are you kidding me? If I played PoE for like, what, 10 days, am I going to download this program, maybe get a virus or some stupid stuff? I know it's safe, and you see all these people using it now, so like after I played the game for so long, of course I'm going to trust it. But right out the gate, no. What I think needs to happen is, we need less efficient trade. You know, what a thought. Because it's bad for ARPGs. It's damaging. I've played the game for a long time, and I've found many of them. I've never exalted an item. Never just YOLO exalted an item. Because, and yeah, there's a couple reasons why. Forsaken Master Crafting, yes, such and such. I've always thought to myself, I'm like, if I exalt this, what are the chances it's going to be worth an exalt? And I always kind of see my items as a currency value, not something I use. Because Poe.trade, it just, you see the huge array of items. You can see these, you can find a really cool DPS bow, and then, you know, you check Poe.trade, the mirror-worthy, awesome, everything T1, it just makes you feel worse. It's not good to know, you shouldn't know everything. We're exiled in this game, you know? It doesn't have to be all connected and make sense that you can have these super efficient quality of life trades. It damages the game. I think trading needs to be less efficient, and it needs to be more in your face. The feature itself needs to be more, it needs to be in-game. It shouldn't be third-party. This should be GGG's decision. It should be them driving their game, not some third party. It should be their system. I want more people to be involved. You want to have more people involved, but you want it to be less efficient. Because then you'll get a more authentic sort of trading, bartering experience, but you won't exactly be like too efficient where you're seeing everything. And I think that the ability to have even shops on the forum thread, obviously like searching through those isn't too fun, but you don't want the game balanced around you being able to see, like, the game, you don't want the game being balanced around or being an experience where you're affected by everyone else's inventory and everyone else's item finds. No, you just want it to be a fraction of them. Like, you shouldn't interact with everyone. You notice how streamers usually get pretty quick trades because they're broadcasting to, like, what, hundreds of people, And then, of course, they're going to get good deals and they're going to get good trades because they have access to everyone. Streamers are the perfect example. They're a perfect example of how it can be, how it can have a crazy effect, how it can really change a game. And I don't think people should feel like forced into playing Self-Found and have to like commit to this idea or whatever and strictly like, I can't do this and I can't do that, because I think trading is fun. One thing I really enjoy the notice board, because you can't really go on Poe.trade and you can't really be like buying a set. You know, you can't really buy sets in PoE or like for Exiles, and you can only buy one item at a time. And I was like spamming trade, and I was like, wow, this is pretty mind-numbing and stupid, and I can't really play the game while I do this. So I just was like farming or something like that, and I created a public party on the notice board, and I was like buying sets or whatever, this many for an Exalt. I was buying, you know, 1 to how many sets Exalt kind of ratio. And, you know, you just kind of list it. You can't list items on the notice board, but people can look at it or whatever. And then someone ended up whispering me, and I even put in my title, I said, willing to argue price a little bit. I was like, willing to, you know, kind of go back and forth with this. I'll, like, if you throw in an extra set, maybe I'll throw in maybe this, or you can do this and that, or I'll give you chaos instead of Exalts. I put, like, you know, willing to barter a little bit, basically, is what I put in my public party title. And, you know, some guy messaged me. I made the trade. It was pretty good. He was like, yeah, I'll take an Exalt. I did that again. And then some guy messages me. They're like, well, I have so many sets, and it was one under how much I was going to pay with, like, I was going to pay an Exalt for X amount of sets. And he had 3 times that minus 1. He's like, could I still get 3 Exalts for this? And I was like, buying in bulk, you know, I mean, I'm giving, it's like, buy one, lose one, but whatever. So, like, I kind of gave the guy a deal in a way, because I gave him a little bit of a good ratio, but he sold me so many, and then I was like, wow, that felt really cool. I just did some trading across this, you know. It wasn't too rigid to my price, but still, it was fun. I like the notice board. I like being able to list stuff. And also, I like crafting. Crafting feels, I don't know, there's a lack of crafting in the game right now. You don't see it so much. And as the item levels on gear gets higher, you know, it gets harder and harder to roll the top affixes, which is another problem, but that's another topic, that's another story. But I don't know, I'd like to craft gear. I wouldn't like to buy gear. I remember when I tried to play a ES character back in some 5 or like a month race or something like that. No one told, well, I mean, I didn't know, I didn't even think about it. It was like my first time even trying ES character, and I didn't know how to craft gear. I didn't realize that chest pieces had such a small amount of affixes, and I bought like what I thought. I bought like so many just cheap ES pieces because no one plays it in these short races. I bought each for like a chaos. I just like decked out a character, got like up to 5k effective ES or something like that, and it's like, oh, you can say, oh, that's not too much. I mean, yeah, it's not too much. But I mean, I got about like 5k effective ES, a little more, and like 6 chaos. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I haven't found a single piece. I was like, this is crazy. And I mean, I didn't want to spend my currency on it. I didn't want it because I didn't know how to craft. I didn't know how to craft it because I never had to craft it. Because I always just think, oh, just trade, you know, or you just like alteration spam life or something stupid like that. But still, it was a really weird experience because I was like, well, now I basically can start mapping and start the end game, and I didn't find like any of the gear I was wearing. It's pretty silly. Like, another problem with trading when it becomes too efficient, this is a big one for me, is people get taken advantage of like crazy. When you have auction houses, and people actually want auction houses, and thank God, thank our Jesus that Chris Wilson is adamant about not having an auction house, because it would ruin the game. If you could buy items from people that are offline, the automatic buyouts, which people basically do on Poe.trade anyway. Like, Poe.trade is, you search for buyouts only, and you search for online only. Like, Poe.trade is one step away from being an auction house, and that's why I think it's a pretty dangerous thing. Basically, just if you could buy from people regardless of them being online or offline, then Poe.trade is an auction house. But when you have an auction house, noobs aren't going to know what to list it for. New players aren't going to know what to list it for. They're going to put low prices. People can camp markets. People who with a lot of currency can control markets. there's a popular build and there's a certain unique, then they definitely can get taken advantage of. And people don't seem to think about that. Like, you see people playing the game, doing successfully in a league, and you know, they'll have like 30 exalts or something like that in their inventory or in their stash. And I've never done that well in a league. I mean, I've traded, I only just started trading pretty minorly with at series stuff because it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. There's like rates and it feels pretty cool. It's pretty consistent how much stuff sells for. And there's definitely like a risk and a reward. There's an investment and a return with that, and it feels really fun. But in general, with wide trading, you see people having 30 exalts. I have a question for you. In a challenge league, have you ever found 30 exalts? No. You've never found 30 exalts on the ground. I found 3 in Talisman so far, and actually 4. It's been amazing, but never 30. Never that many. So you think to yourself, okay, well, how do they have 30 exalts? How do they do it? What did they? How did they play? How did they? They had to do something. They had to trade, and if they have 30 exalts, it means it came from all these other people. The amount of currency in the game isn't changing. You know, there's going to be the same amount of people playing. Just because trade becomes more efficient doesn't mean everyone's going to make more money and everything's going to be happy. The only people who will make money will be people who will engage in the trade. People who engage in the trade will have more currency, will have better gear, and then the game will seem easier. The game will have a different sort of... It has a different difficulty curve, and then the game has to get balanced around that. It's a problem. If you have people... The more efficient trade is... The more you engage in it, the better your character will be, the better your gear will be, the richer you will be in an ARPG. And that is a bad thing. Your wealth should come from smart gameplay, from smart decisions. And I don't know, I'm scared about the future. I honestly am, because GGG is taking steps to make it, you know, so people appear online more and all this, and I don't think it should be more efficient. I think it's really going to hurt the health of the game. You look at D3, you look at D3, and yeah, it was just one of many things that was wrong with the game. Like, you can argue that, oh, you know, that was because D3 had simple items. That, if anything, would make it less dangerous. Having more complex items means there's more chance that there's something good that you're going to find for someone else. There's more reason to trade, and more of you having to buy from someone else. And sadly, when you buy and sell, you don't end up crafting very much. You just end up buying your gear. It really lessens the experience. It lessens immersion. It's a dangerous thing for the game, and I really hope. I mean, I don't know what I want. I don't know if POE should be taken down. Poe.trade should be taken down. I mean, I don't know if that'll necessarily make the game better. I don't know. It's just scary. It's just worrisome, because I remember playing D3 and that very sad feeling that I had of just, I don't find anything. I'm just buying and selling, and I'm just spending so much time on this little stock market. And we'll have to see. We'll have to wait, and I don't know. I'm worried going forward. I don't want this game to become like some sort of auction house tycoon, trade tycoon, because that's a really dangerous thing. Most people seem to be calling the people who are screaming the loudest about it anyway. It could be a minority, I don't know. But most people want more efficient trade, and I don't think they think about the negative impacts it can have. Like I said, I like the notice board. I think we need to have a more in-your-face, in-game system that just isn't as efficient. And that doesn't sound it sounds kind of frustrating to people, but it's like, it's a video game, you know? You're not supposed to have like a super, you know, fun, like, I mean, you're not supposed to, super fun. Yeah, you are supposed to have fun. You're not supposed to have a super efficient, like, trade system. It's supposed to be, you're exiled, you know? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm concerned about this issue quite a lot, if you can tell. I have a lot invested in this game. I really love PoE. I played a lot of D3, and I remember what made me love PoE so much when I started to play it. And I don't want to lose any of that. I don't want to lose the crafting. I don't want to lose the finding my gear. I don't know. If you guys made it to the end, thank you so much for watching.